before,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if there is
Correct. Yeah.
any, just wonder if there is any time, when posture or things are not correct, just you can point out even middle of the thing. Huh? Just
Mm-hmm.
though it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't happen, I'm just telling you.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Okay then. Super. Good morning, everyone. Happy to host all of you here with a special person, Vineet Saraiwala. Vineet is a very good friend for Winwinia Foundation, as well as he's a founder and CEO of Atypical Advantage, India's largest livelihood platform for PWD. Be it singer or be it an artist who wanted to showcase their talent, he has the platform where
Mhm.
he can advocate for them and create a level playing field for them. And recently, he got felicitated by the President of India with a national award for building a best placement organization for PWD. Hi, Vinay. Very proud to have you here.
Mm.
Good morning. Yeah.
No, no, same here, Shiva. And Akil, I've been following your journey for the past 3 years, and it
Uh-huh.
is amazing to be here with you.
Superb, superb. I'll start with a very light question, actually. It's a very funny question also, which I liked it. If you would share a cup of chai with anyone in the world, living or historical, who would be and why?
Uh, so actually, it's not a funny question or a light question. I had to think a lot on this, but I think my answers is Helen Keller.
Uh-huh.
We right now are in a way, way better place. In 1900, she was deaf and blind, and I
Mm-hmm.
think the
Mm-hmm.
first graduate in the United States, and that too in
Yeah.
1900s, no access to technology. uh, and I,
Yes.
I I'm and at that point probably advocating for disability rights was way way difficult. And again,
That's
being
true.
a deaf blind person,
Mm-hmm.
right now we think communication is such an integral piece, and
That's
she
true.
was
Yeah.
able to do that 120 years before all of this without technology. So just would love to have chai with her and understand this firsthand.
Wow. Wow. That's very profound, actually. Very nice. Maybe I should join you guys when you guys are having the chai.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we would learn a lot from her. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So, what is a specific incident or a story that sparked your passion for inclusion and diversity in the workplace? What do you say?
So there is no specific incident or a story. So one, a lot of people would already know that I have this condition called retinitis pigmentosa. So,
Mm-hmm,
and in this, it's strange because your sight keeps on going down as age progresses. Though you want to defy this, like for example, I used to play cricket. I love cricket,
mm-hmm,
and watching all of these legends perform on TV. To
mm-hmm,
right now, not seeing anything on the TV and cannot play cricket. I though can try my hands on blind cricket. But when I entered the corporate sphere, uh, I had never imagined that I would ever in my life do something in the social space, forget disability space. Uh,
mm-hmm,
but there actually one of the projects in Future Group, which was to make shopping accessible. I think I
mm-hmm,
just took it on myself to do that. And there uh, essentially I think the question came from the marketing team actually to hire a singer and a model with disability. And
mm-hmm,
at that point I reached out to so many people in Bombay to figure out the right singer and the right model, and
mm-hmm.
I was not able to find relevant profiles in even a matter of 5 to 7 days. And I thought that this has to change, right? Like it has to be at a click of a button.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
even if let's say my boss is considerate about disability inclusion, I would
Mm-hmm,
still need some profile to convince him to have a singer with disability on the shows, which was
mm-hmm,
not there.
mm-hmm,
And that was probably a trigger point to say that let's do something about it. So
mm-hmm,
if you look at the initial platform when Atypical Advantage that way, it was largely like a classified
mm-hmm,
website where you can just get the information. of a singer and
Mm.
then connect the singer and so on. Look at the portfolio. So that was
Mm-hmm.
probably one incident which helped me to start Atypical Advantage. But before that, it was largely, climbing the corporate ladder and probably
Yeah.
earning more money. That was the simple thought process. And again, that also is there because of my blindness, right? Because society would have often looked you down and so on. So
Yeah.
you always want to prove them wrong. So a lot of
Correct. Yeah.
actions in my life was actually, about proving the society wrong in a lot of things. But yeah, when this information, like this thing came up, I really
Mm-hmm.
thought that it's not like a difficult problem, like just creating a repository of the talented people. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's
Mm-hmm.
up to companies to hire them or not hire them. That was the simple thought process. So the
Mm.
initial Atypical Advantage website was just a classified uh, website where
Wow.
information was available. We, in
Mm-hmm.
fact, I just wanted to be, very pure in that thought. So we directly used to share contacts of the singers, but then we actually saw, executional challenges and so on. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the story.
Wow. Nice. Nice. I think you also support persons who are artists with uh, disabilities, right? So that
Yes.
you keep on showcasing their product like painting or anything actually.
Yeah.
How was that? How that started actually?
So that was also there from the
Power
inception
on.
itself.
Fonts
So
mode.
Okay.
again, what we did is simply created artist and their portfolio. For us,
Mm, mm,
portfolio is important because without the portfolio, no corporate could, give them
mm,
opportunity. So a simple
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
proposition to any company is be it a visual artist, a dancer, singer, comedian, which is a performing artist,
mm-hmm,
look at their talent, which is their
mm,
portfolio, and then give them chance. And what we
yeah.
also did is, like, if there is a company in Delhi, then the
Mm-hmm,
idea is to prioritize Delhi based singers or singers or artists in that nearby region.
got
So
it. Yeah.
that is how it started. And in fact, art is doing extremely well. Same way with performers. Like we are
Yeah.
now we are touching close to 450 companies, where
Wow.
which would have at least taken shows or artworks from us. So yeah, a lot of corporate
Wow.
boardrooms, like investment banking firms, IT firms, a lot of offices now have artwork made by artists with disabilities. And same way with shows, it was never a even a mainstream concept, right, to think about
Correct.
giving singers with disability a chance. And
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, most of the conversation was largely around full-time jobs.
Mm-hmm,
And another challenge is a lot of people with disability probably would not be able to, work in full-time jobs for whatever
mm-hmm,
reasons. Let's say if
mm-hmm,
there's a person on the autism spectrum, so
mm-hmm.
the person has a skill, but if you ask that person to probably go and do a full-time job, that might not be,
Correct. Yeah.
so good for them. So another that's another added advantage. And same way with artists, I think they can probably, work from home for the corporates, which is
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
merging well with their strengths.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. So the artists and singers, that way you are able to create opportunities and everything. How about you been placing candidates in manufacturing sector or also people who are graduates from IIM, persons with disability who are graduates from IIM? How are you, I mean, how Atypical Advantage is helping them to get the blue collar job? I mean, white collar
Yeah.
job, blue collar job kind of thing. How
So
do you do?
actually, manufacturing happened with us only
Mm-hmm.
1.5 years back.
Mm-hmm.
And that also what we realized. So Atypical Advantage largely used to work only in white collar opportunities for people with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
But what we realized, and that like manufacturing employees, organized manufacturing employees, close to 20 million plus people in India,
Mm.
as such.
Oh
And
my
out
God.
of that, people with disabilities are very negligible. A lot of companies have zero people with disabilities in these manufacturing units.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm here when I speak about manufacturing, I'm not interested in a warehouse replenisher sort of a job.
Yeah.
It
Mm.
could be machine operators, packaging, uh,
Mm.
as such. So those are the roles which atypical advantage targets. One logic of manufacturing is the manufacturing typically as a sector is more stable. For example, you would see a person joining a manufacturing company, like some of these large manufacturing companies, when they are 20 and they retire from there
Mm.
when they are at 60. So that's
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
it's largely stable versus a white collar market. The second
Mm.
thing is, again, if you look at the trend, at least what we have seen is we believe that the white collar job market, and this is true for non-disabled people equally, will
Mm-hmm.
not grow substantially. Um,
Mm.
with AI and so many of these things coming into play,
Mm-hmm.
people are slashing jobs.
Yeah, yeah.
And the effect is largely more on the white collar uh, piece than blue collar, because at the end you need human supervision,
Correct,
for
correct.
machines.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so that's another thought process. And the third thing again, what we thought is probably, uh, there are a lot of these safety concerns
Mm.
around, having people with disabilities
Correct. Yeah.
in manufacturing. So if
Mm.
we can convince some of these companies,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think they are more than happy to have more people with disabilities. For example, just
Mm-hmm.
in the blue collar space, Nestle, Nivea, Godrej Consumers, Tata Motors, all of these
Mm-hmm.
four companies in their
Mm-hmm.
respective plants, we were the first ones to get people with disability in these plants. Like Nivea has close to 10, 12 people, Nestle has
Mm.
23, 25 people, Godrej Consumers, I think another 20 uh,
Wow. Okay.
people. As such, Tata Motors is 23, 24 people in, and Tata Motors, because it was in Jamshedpur and that was my
Mm-hmm.
hometown. I really wanted to do something at least in my hometown. So, so the
Okay.
idea is, we hope, that this work will only scale and more
Mm.
manufacturing companies come forward to
Correct.
hire people. And what are, there's a differentiator in probably our working is we work at the site post hiring.
Yeah. Mm.
So
Mm.
our
Mm.
team is there in the plant, getting the productivity,
Okay.
getting the safety, getting the policies. So it's not
Okay.
that, ATPL Advantage just provides people and then
Mm-hmm.
just leaves the company and the candidates. So we will
Correct.
work for a 6-month period, designing everything, designing visual cards, ensuring the
Mm-hmm.
safety processes, ensuring compliances, ensuring the cultural fit, ensuring productivity. So we are
Very nice.
responsible
Mm.
for productivity of people with disabilities, and then after the process is streamlined, we exit. So that is how
Mm.
we typically work in the manufacturing space.
Oh,
Coming
it's
to
more like a job coach kind of thing who will be staying there and then doing. Is that right, Vineet? Who's the person
yes,
who's dedicated there and then post-placement
yes,
support kind of thing, like a job coach kind of thing?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's a beautiful one. That's a beautiful best practice, I would say, because we are also trying something like that where we can, but we are not in their premises. We are kind of hand-holding the companies because we are into IT and ITES kind of thing. So that's what we are doing. Even AI, you said very beautifully, AI is there, but the human touch is needed actually. So
yeah,
even when we teach AI to persons with disability, that is a kind of a assistant to you. It is not taking over your job or anything. That's what we keep telling the candidates also. Master AI at the same time they are they are treated as assistant to you, so you have to master it, you have to see how you can utilize it very well. So that's a beautiful thing actually. So the post placement support with a job coach, very nice. But
yeah.
how do you say the mindset of the companies, maybe one small tweak they have to do to um, recruit persons with disability, maybe a powerful difference? How do you make sure that ensuring productivity, sorry, someone else has said something. Okay, yeah. So let me just go back and rephrase my question. How do you make sure the mindset of the people in the company, how do you change that and how do you make them tweak a little for recruiting persons with disability? What is the one powerful change that you have seen, which is a differentiation factor to inclusive
So,
companies actually? Yeah.
so, see what I have seen in a lot of companies, it starts from the top,
Mm-hmm.
and and I think that's an advantage, probably a unique advantage to me. For
Mm-hmm.
example, we have seen CXOs, let's say, when they say, okay, hey, a
Mm-hmm.
person with disability will not be able to do finance or marketing or
Yeah.
this kind
Yeah.
of function. I just take that question head on and say, look, I am blind. I'm in front of you and I'm running a company on my own. If
Yeah.
I can do what makes you believe others won't be able to do. And
Correct.
they have
Correct.
no
Yeah.
reply to this answer, because I've answered them rationally and politely. Uh,
Wow.
so that is one, probably. The second thing is, again, see, what what I have also seen is probably, just beyond rational reasons. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of CXOs are, greater than 50s or 60s
Mm-hmm.
from a age point of view.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they don't find meaning in their current work for whatever reasons. And
Mm.
neither they have done anything different in the past 30 years. For them,
Mm.
I tell them to look at this as a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
When they say, okay, these are the problems, we say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
these problems exist
Mm.
as such. Don't you think, at this tenure, you could take, this
Yeah.
flexibility to do this?
Yeah.
So
True.
that's probably the thing. And third is, I think I always encourage CXOs not to listen to
Mm.
anybody, just to
Mm-hmm.
go and meet blind people, deaf people, people with locomotor disability, autism, uh,
Mm-hmm.
so that they understand the real challenge. See,
Correct.
whatever Atypical Advantage or so many other organizations is doing is still honestly a very short-term fix, right? You can't fix
Mm.
up educational inequality or
Correct.
transportational inequality, right? Why are so many of us just trying to work is only because of this educational inequality. If a person with disability who is born blind, deaf, or
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
a wheelchair user, right? Like the school
Mm-hmm.
would first discriminate against them. And
Correct. Correct. That's
and
true. Yeah.
sometimes these corporates, will ask us that, hey, could you do a train and hire for 6 months or 3 months or
Mm.
whatever and teach
Mm.
them X English, let's say. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I tell them, boss, you took 15 years to learn English and
Yeah. Yeah,
from
that's true.
school.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And how could anybody, like even the brightest of the lot,
Yeah.
can learn things in 6 months versus 15 years? And this, I'm just like, and if let's say, the government and
Mm.
the child with deafness or blindness would have been
Mm-hmm.
access to
Mm-hmm.
mainstream education with English and
Mm-hmm.
so many of these tools, then
Mm-hmm.
obviously the fault probably lies more with the child. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and the funny thing is, see, most of the persons with disability don't even realize this, that the system has failed them. And
Correct. Correct.
they
Correct.
take
Yeah.
the blame on themselves, probably, that, hey, why I'm not able to learn quickly, or my teachers say this XYZ. But
Yeah. Yeah.
the system has only failed them,
That's
which
true. That's
no
true,
one would
actually.
even realize. And because putting the blame on an individual is way easier than putting the blame on the system.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I can totally relate to what you're saying, Vinith, actually, because I don't have any known disability, but I'm a person who learns through experiential, who learns through auditory, who learns through visual communication, actually. So I failed in my 12th, actually. So there is no difference between person with disability or without disability. The learning methods are different for each one. If only we can identify that and create a level playing field when they are in the schools, when they are in the college, making it accessible for persons with and without disability, making it more experiential and making it more practical learning. So that would be a wonderful thing for anyone. So that the thin line between I am a person with disability, you are a person without disability. Let's take that thin line and then make it equal or equitable for everyone actually, so that everyone can survive. I grew up thinking that I am not good at academics. But once I learned the way how I can learn it, I am able to excel whatever I do actually. So that's a beautiful thing actually. Very nice, very nice. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Okay, serious talk. Let's make it a little fun now. Okay,
you.
I'm going to give a rapid fire round for you. Okay, so one word, fast you have to say. Okay, describe inclusion in one word.
Equity.
Very nice. Okay. Biggest myth about disability in the workplace.
People with disabilities are not productive.
Wow. Very nice. Yeah. One inclusion hero you admire.
This is a tough one, actually.
Uh-huh.
So I don't think I have the answer to this is can't come up with anybody.
Uh-huh.
Is see because India has like a billion plus people, right? Like someone needs to
Yeah.
solve the problem at such a scale. So there
Mm-hmm.
are
Mm-hmm.
examples in the West, but like for example, I remember Austria. I was speaking to one leading company in Austria, and
Mm-hmm.
their entire placement numbers were close to 50 to 75 people with disabilities,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they were at the top of all Austrian media and government and so on. And I just thought
Mm-hmm.
here that in India a number like 7500 is insignificant to the scale of India. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like, and no one has
Wow.
been able to crack that. My answer, at least in the inclusion space, is like
Right.
I have not
And
like very keen because the Western models anyways won't work. And
Mm-hmm.
the other thing here, like, sorry to take this rapid fire,
No, no, no. Please
so
take it.
this
Take
is
it. Take it.
especially like look at Trump coming in and people shutting up diversity and inclusion programs,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
clearly means that for a lot of these companies, the real
Mm-hmm.
intent was anyways not there. As simple as
Mm-hmm.
that, right? Like if someone, yeah, I know a new person comes and you just stop the program, that
Mm-hmm.
means you really did not have commitment. And there are
Yeah.
so many companies who genuinely believe in this space even before this buzzword of diversity and inclusion.
Correct.
So
Yeah. 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 We should come together, not one inclusion hero. A lot of people have to come together to make it more productive and more, I mean, create more examples how they can do it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. So, yeah. What do you prefer, tea or coffee, and why?
I prefer both, but I like masala chai. Uh,
Why masala chai?
I think it's a cocktail of so many of these herbs. Plus, I think especially when you have cough and cold, I think it really works. At least for me,
Uh,
I think
uh-huh.
you can take medicines, but nothing works like a hot masala chai. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Or
And
even a
also,
filter
what
coffee.
is, yeah, I prefer masala tea because what is life without masalas? Yeah, we should have ups and downs.
Yeah,
We should have masalas in our life. Very nice, very nice. But one more thing actually, what is one thing about advocating for inclusion that surprised
yeah.
you or changed your perspective? This is not rapid fire. You can just take your time, think about it, and then give me the answer.
So I think see for me, and I'm very very dissatisfied with the status quo. With
Mm-hmm,
what surprises me is people live in their own bubbles, and
mm-hmm,
this bubble is only increasing. Like for example, there's if you want to like believe that there's no poverty in the country, just live in a gated society, grow up in a
mm-hmm,
gated society. You will never
mm-hmm.
realize that India is poor or
Mm,
there are any problems with our country. um, so what happens is, when some of them go to the CXO positions, they
mhm,
don't understand
mm,
inequality process itself, like that does inequality exist. Like there are so many of these talks of meritocracy that
mhm,
every company will come to you and say that, hey Akila, I
mm,
believe in meritocracy. So if you can
mm,
get
mm,
me candidates like this, and this is, I'm
mhm,
just talking about even non-disabled people.
mm,
And let's take a person from a rural place, right? If you can get
mhm,
me a great communicator from like I have no problems to hire. That
mm.
is your clear. That means you don't have any understanding of how inequality
Correct.
works, uh,
Mm,
as such. And how probably it's I don't discount your hard work, but
mhm,
again, you need to see the real India. just by going and meeting people. So that is
mm,
something, which
yeah,
surprises me. Uh, and this happens to the best of people who have no
mm,
exposure to disability, no exposure to
mm,
other race, religion, caste, creed, and whatever they have
yeah,
learnt in
yeah,
movies, smartphones, is
mm,
something what they hold up against a particular caste, against a particular state, against a particular religion,
mm-hmm,
against a particular, disability. So
mm-hmm,
yeah, this otherness won't anyways help anybody.
correct, yeah, yeah. Yeah. The few companies which we are working also in it, what they would say, no, they are getting into disability inclusion and inclusion hiring and everything, and they wanted to take a baby step. When they wanted to take a baby step, they say, I wanted only locomotor candidates who can
Yeah,
hear, speak,
yeah.
and then talk. So that is what they wanted to do.
Yeah, a
But
lot
if you
of
are into,
companies come and say, "Give me a less disabled person." So
yeah,
it's it's
yeah,
it's it's surprising and offensive at the maximum
correct.
level.
Correct, correct. So if you want to do a tick that I'm saying that I'm also included, I'm also disability hiring. So then why talk about this disability inclusion, right? So yeah, we have to change. A lot of people have to come together to change the mindset of the companies who can create a level playing field for persons with disability and everyone. Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'll ask few more questions actually, and I'll give the audience who are also putting some questions. I'll just finish two more questions and then give some time for audience also. Can you share an example of how your efforts inspired someone else to take action of for inclusion?
So, uh, I think first of all, I don't personally believe in this. I think even if the person
Yeah,
has taken inspiration, that effort is of that person alone, as
correct.
such.
Yeah.
And so for example, my effort could have also been inspired by somebody else. And so many of these thoughts, you keep on reading about, let's say, other organizations
Hmm.
work, or other people's work. So
Hmm. Hmm.
very difficult to quantify that, hey, this was my effort and this led to, there's probably one small thing which I still love was, there was a five-star hotel. They had never
Mhm,
hired so they were looking for musicians as such.
mhm,
And
mhm,
the parents also, like, there was a pianist on the autism spectrum, and their parents, they had never ventured outside, uh,
mhm,
you know, uh, in outside their homes itself, like the child.
mhm,
And
mhm.
he's still like 2 years on, he's still playing in that five-star hotel. Uh,
Wow.
and as a
Okay.
pianist, a full-time pianist, so the company pays him salaries for playing the
Mhm,
piano. And the parents said that, that was like, one of the best things for the child. So
mhm,
actually young adult. So
mhm,
and same way, that triggered that five-star hotel to hire another two pianists in their another two
mhm.
properties. And
Wow.
so that's something, it's nice. And
Yeah.
I think hats off to even the parents to
Mm,
also take that leap of faith, because
mm, mm,
sometimes if no one has ever done this, it's very
mm,
difficult,
mm.
even like, for
Correct.
the
Yeah.
parent, ki, will my child be safe and so on. And
Yeah.
initially teething troubles are there with everybody. So like when we like, work in companies, and initially there are troubles, we
Mm-hmm.
understand that is also very normal, in terms of
Yeah.
having that fear, having that anxiety of hiring people with disabilities. And we should respect that and not judge them at that point.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. When we started Vineet, Vinvinia Foundation about 9 years back, the students who came to us didn't believe in themselves that they can get into software testing or software development role. We had to tell them, just put your skin in the game, just try it out. We will see how you can place. Once we created that role, we were able to place them in software testing role in one of the MNC company. And that is when the role model is created. And the next batch which came to us saying that I wanted to get into software testing. So it is important that every one of us has to create role models, and that will keep inspiring us to create some more role models, and that will keep creating us to create more opportunity for persons with disability. It is not like I am inspiring you, I am getting inspired by the work I do also. The people are getting inspired. It's a ripple effect actually. It is
No,
a ripple effect
completely.
when you
And
do it. Yeah.
and I think, see, what Winwina is doing, no, that's one of the perfect models
Hmm.
for hiring people with disabilities, because you also work not only like a straight hiring sort of a thing which we do. You
Hmm.
take time, educate that candidate, educate that company,
Yeah. Hmm.
train them, place them, and then also work on the post placement process, which
Correct. Yeah.
is long term and yields better results uh, as such. So, and that's
Yeah.
a very integrated way of looking at the problem.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks a lot.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So, last question from my side. What's one simple thing anyone can do today to make their workplace more inclusive? Just simple one. One thing today.
So a simple one is hire one person with disability.
Wow.
It's as simple as it could get. Unless you have your action talking, otherwise a lot of companies say that, hey, we are very early in our journey and all that
Correct. Yeah.
things, and 3 years later they will start the journey. And I tell them, don't wait for perfection. They'll say, oh,
Correct.
my
Yeah.
process is not ready, my safety is not ready. How would you anyways know things if you have not hired a single person with disability and they just feel it's too complicated? So just
That's true.
go
That's
and
true.
get it done, just do it, as simple as that.
Superb, superb. Actually, Shiva used to tell me and tell the people who are dear to her, dear to him. So, if you want to learn swimming and swim in the ocean, don't wait for the waves to subside. Just jump. No, just jump, and
Yeah.
you will learn how to walk with the wave, how to walk with the your style of swimming and everything. That stayed with me a lot. Actually, that's beautiful. You are also saying the same thing. Just hire. No, what is the big deal? You will learn on the way, and how do you take it forward? Wow, very nice. So I'm stopping my questions here. There are few questions. I'll read it for you. One is actually ensuring productivity by being present with the PWD at the site. I feel gives immense confidence to the employer. That is the comment from Anand Visa. And I'll ask one more question. What he has asked: DA for many companies is a nice to have compulsion. Intent and reality has a big gap. What have you done to influence change when you see such gaps?
Yeah, I think probably I've answered this, because see,
Yeah.
we work from the top level management to the plant level, uh,
Mm-hmm.
as such, with more control, because we work with them in their system.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, we clearly in long term solve the productivity piece, which a lot of
Yeah.
companies would probably, raise questions. If that is there, no one in the company or outside the company has anything, right? Like the stereotype, the biases, everything just disappears. In fact, they are more than
Correct.
happy to have people with disability.
Correct. As a similar way, one more person also asked Arun, how do you approach an organization to hire persons with disability if they are not aware of their capabilities?
So, see, with us, Atypical Advantage is slightly different there, because I don't even pitch for
Mm-hmm.
hiring and in the first place. I simply say that, hey, we have performers and artists. Why don't you book them for a show? Booking for a
Mm-hmm.
show is far easier for a company than
Ha.
hiring a person with disability. And let's say when the singer with disability would have performed exceptionally well, then we say
Uh-huh.
that, hey, did you enjoy the show? How was the singer?
Ah.
And they would be going gaga over the show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we tell them that, hey, you think, the singer has performed well. What stops you from hiring a person with disability? So
Wow.
that is how
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
typically do
Very nice, very nice. We do in a similar way, Vineet, actually, for every
it.
job mela what we conduct at Vinvinaya. We kind of bring in persons with disability to organize the whole thing, actually. So, from registration counter to the MCs to the people who are performing artwork, actually, and also the experiential zone which we have created where people with disability will showcasing their livelihood as well as how do they enjoy chess and all those things. When the companies say that yeah, I don't want to hire persons with more disability categories. Like I wanted only locomotor candidates who can speak and hear and see. When they come inside, when they enter from the registration counter, they see inclusivity. In the MCs, when they see the inclusivity, then the mindset shifts very beautifully well, and they are okay to hire persons with other disability categories actually. So I think we should showcase more people with disability doing all those things, because at Vinvanaya, we have 50% of our own employees or persons with disability who are working with persons without disability. So it is possible. It is possible to work along with persons with and without disability. And one of the beautiful thing which I really, admire and do it is one person with visual challenges, the other person with hearing and speech impaired co-work together actually. One is the
Yeah,
auditory world, one is the visual world. How do they work together? Wow, that is
yeah,
something we should. They
yeah,
figure out a way, they figure out a mechanism to work together with this advantage of technical things and everything is there. It is more easy now. It is more easy to
yeah.
work with persons with and without disability. God, very nice, very nice. Any more questions from audience? Once got job, PW face one more question from one of the employee, Kasturi. Once got job, PW face career stagnation. They also need motivation by getting promotion. What can be done for this? That will be the last question.
No,
Yeah, please go
so
ahead.
I think you have raised a very important point. In several companies, we have seen that, people with disabilities being hired, and when hiring also, the career progression was never spoken about or
Hmm.
factored in. So what we realize is that while hiring itself, we should move towards having career progression. For people who are stagnating, I think companies need to either upskill themselves into some of the
Hmm.
new age things, or probably people with disabilities can, get them upskilled on their own, and push these companies for, promotions. And that is happening also. But
Hmm.
I agree that probably, in a lot of companies, they don't factor in the upward mobility of PWDs. And that is very, very important,
Correct.
in
Yeah.
my view. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. 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 And
Akila,
also,
Sina here. If I could just
hey,
add to
Sina.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
point.
Please. Please. Yeah. Please go ahead.
When PWDs, while no, I completely agree that organizations should try and upskill. I would go with
Hmm.
Vineet's recommendation that you have to upskill yourself, but the other way should also be that you find a mentor in the organization who can guide you on the
Hmm.
career progression, because each organization has its own culture of promotions and growth and career path and opportunities and all of that. And you would
Hmm.
be able to, when you talk to people, right,
Hmm.
connect with people. If you go and ask somebody, one of the leaders, they're saying, I want career growth, and how do I upskill myself and what I need to be, I think 0.01% would refuse. The
Yeah.
99.9% would be happy to help and guide and support. So
Correct.
that will also give an opportunity for reverse mentoring, which gives them
Hmm.
the confidence that yes, this is like any other resource for me, who will
Hmm.
be as productive as part of it, right? So that is something which we need to work on.
Very nice, very nice. Rightly put it, actually, Sina. Very nice. Thanks a lot. I think as we are sensitizing the companies to recruit persons with disability, we should also tell persons with disability that it is up to you. You have to go and start inquiring how do you grow in your career? How do you help yourself? So that it is not like only one side is given. You also take that,
Initiative on the other side, right?
initiative on that. Yeah, yeah. Superb, superb. Thanks a lot. Any more questions from the audience? Otherwise, I can conclude.
Akila, I had a question.
Yeah, please go
Hamza,
ahead.
Hamza here. See,
Yeah,
I know this is see, when we talk about employment for people with disabilities, then we always come to one point where, like, they don't have a level playing field because they were not given proper education. Like, the system has failed. So, in your
correct.
experience, Vineet, have you tried interacting with government agencies trying to, set this, I mean, at least address this problem in a very small way, at least, I mean, begin somewhere, basically.
So, see, two of the things which I in fact tell everybody, every organization I meet in the past, and including the government itself. So one, what I believe is English should be introduced from the inception for deaf people. You'll hardly find deaf schools teaching English uh, from the inception, and government should
Yeah.
intervene there in the beginning to do this. And it's not very difficult. Get the best content and curriculum on English in sign language, and do that. Go to most of the deaf schools in the rural areas. They like, there are deaf schools, by the way, where there are not even sign language interpreters, and that deaf school would have created their own sign language. uh,
Hmm.
and it's like, you'll and they'll then will never be probably able to assimilate in the mainstream. And same way for blind people is to introduce them to computers. I've seen, like, there's a lot of debate between, learning braille and learning computers. um, from the, again, very beginning. And see, there are like 4,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees Android phones. Get a keyboard. You can
Hmm.
easily be able to at least start with a phone and a keyboard, so that the
Hmm.
person is able to access that education on the smartphone on his own from the very beginning. So that's
Hmm.
a very scalable way to do this. uh, so that when post, like, I used to write my exams in IIM Bangalore on my own. So,
Hmm.
and there is no, I think there's recently one of the first blind persons in Gujarat who wrote the standard 10 exam on the computer. So if you
Hmm.
get that training for 12, 14 years with the computer, I'm very sure this is possible. And again, it is not at all difficult. The third thing which we have been pushing, policymakers and the government, I think there are some 7,000 to 10,000 ITIs, or even, higher in number. You go
Hmm.
ask any of these ITIs that, hey, do you have people with disability? They will say, no, they don't come and all that stuff. I think we need to get that content in the right medium, again, let's say with sign language and so on, and get as many people,
Yeah.
in this, so that they can get jobs. And one NGO, 100 NGO, or even 1,000 NGOs can't solve this country's problem so quickly. Uh,
Correct.
so that's at least what the government should do to revamp some of this, like school education, higher education. Uh,
Hmm.
because what I am looking at in that 10, 12 years, that mainstreaming will happen. And the blind person or the deaf person or even other disabilities would be able to probably, be figuring like out things on their own with the help of technology. Honestly, one answer which I don't have, at least with the right linkages, is for neurodiversity, which is
Hmm.
autism, Down syndrome, and so many of
Hmm.
these other conditions. I don't have an answer on what the government can do so that they can access livelihood. But yeah, the first two is very clear. So
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
thank
So that is true, actually. Yeah. As one is the government should come, and also it is not only the government's thing. We also put our effort and then see how we can create that level playing field for everyone, actually. So one thing what we are doing right now, Vinith, you said that there is not accessible education when you were talking about when you were growing up. What we are doing right now in Vinvinaya is actually we are making the STEM books accessible for persons with visual challenges. And that is done through a team of persons with intellectual disability. So they are doing the document remediation, which is actually that's a level playing field for persons with intellectual disability, and they are creating or they're contributing to other disability category where they can also play the level play. I mean, they can also get into that at par with anyone else actually. So maybe we should think about something everyone can do, everyone can contribute
you.
in a small way, how they can do it and how they can bring the education to some level
Mm,
actually. Yeah.
No, I think Akila, I think amazing to hear that. But what happens is, like, when I see like so many of these funders, when they fund a non-profit,
Mm-hmm.
they need to take in that 10-year, 12-year horizon, right? Like
Correct.
every CSR or the funders would expect results in 1 year, 2 years, especially with the educational
Yeah.
inequality. and
Mm.
you can't probably show some of these results very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
especially, let's say, if you want to change this entire system from the inception itself, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so the funders also need to realize that, let's say, we create this system which, like, some of the books which are and distribute it to the government itself. But
Correct. Yeah.
to see or measure the change, you need that time, like at
Mm.
least a 4-year, 5-year window to see the learning of a child who has gone through a mainstream versus,
Yep, that's true.
so that time needs to be given to organizations.
Wow, beautifully said. Beautifully said. Yeah. They should not see it as immediate result. Every CSR, I mean, most of them say that actually. Yeah, we should give it as a time so that they were integrated in the system in a very beautiful way. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Vinay. Thank you very much, actually. Yeah, and Baba, you wanted to conclude or should I?
No, nothing special. I was just enjoying. So it's always a pleasure to talk to Vineet and I learn a lot of things. Um, one question that I have is he was talking about masala tea. What about the filter coffee? That is my only question.
No, I answered that, Shiva. I love filter coffee equally as such. It's just that when I'm sick, I prefer masala chai, but when I have a headache, I prefer filter coffee. So,
Good.
We have remedy for both, actually.
yeah.
Yeah. So when we meet you on one day, we will have masala tea. The other day, we will have filter coffee. Third day, we will probably have juice also. So
Yeah.
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And
Thanks a lot.
learned a lot
Thank
of it,
you.
a
Thank
lot
you.
of things today. And please come to Binmania Foundation when you get a chance.
Sure, sure,
Okay.
sure.
Thank you,
Thanks a
boss.
lot,
Thank
Vinay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vineet.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone, for
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
participating. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Face and attention.
Um,